to seek the truth. Welcome to VERITAS.
Tonight, prepare yourselves for an extraordinary journey into the unknown. Joining us once again is our special guest, David Weiss, affectionately known as Flat Earth Dave, a luminary within the enigmatic world of flat Earth research. Get ready to have your perceptions challenged once again as David shares his latest findings, pushing the boundaries of our understanding of our world. The flat Earth perspective, long sidelined by mainstream discourse, now stands as a formidable challenger to established scientific beliefs. David's continued exploration and evolution from skeptic to advocate is proof of the power of inquiry and the relentless pursuit of truth. Here at VERITAS, we embrace the unconventional, the controversial, and the thought-provoking, inviting all who seek enlightenment to join us on this journey of discovery. But be prepared. Tonight's discussion delves deep into uncharted territory. It's for those who possess the courage to question, to challenge, and to explore beyond the confines of conventional wisdom. So, get ready to expand your mind as we dive into this intellectual odyssey, where every revelation brings us closer to the elusive truth. Welcome to an evening of intrigue and enlightenment, where the boundaries of knowledge are pushed ever further. We don't just think outside the box, we redefine the box altogether. Welcome to VERITAS. David Weiss is coming up next.
Welcome to VERITAS. If this is your first time listening, welcome home. To access tonight's full interview and all of our exclusive material, simply join the VERITAS Plus family by clicking on the subscribe button at veritasradio.com. And while you're there, don't forget to check out the VERITAS store for a range of great products, including focused life force energy. Experience the power of FLFE with a 15-day free trial today. No credit card required. If you're looking to get in touch with Mel, have a guest suggestion, or would like to provide feedback, simply click on the contact button on our website. So sit back, relax, and enjoy tonight's program. And now, here's your host, Mel Hostelrick.
His website is flatearthdave.com, and directly from Greenwich, Connecticut, I'd like to welcome my friend David Weiss. Hello, Dave, and welcome back. How are you?
Hey, Mel, thanks so much for having me back again. It's truly an honor. You are actually the first podcast that I ever paid for, a subscription, because I wanted to hear the second hour of one of your things. And how long ago was that? Was that 10 years ago? How many years?
I think it's more. This is the 16th season.
Yeah. So I'm 15, 16 years in,
Yep.
And I haven't missed a single show. And I like 99% of them. How's that? That's pretty good.
That's great.
Score.
99%. That's okay. I mean, we can't please everyone, and you know that. But Dave, this is a topic, as you know, that has thrown so many stones at me forever, but I don't care. Whether it's flat Earth, whether it's child trafficking, whether it's anything. A lot of people get offended by me discussing something, but I will never stop discussing what people want. There are people who don't like this subject, and there are plenty of people who like this subject. But the one interesting thing, Dave, is for years I've had people who criticized me, unsubscribed, and then maybe a year later, 2 years later, they came back to me saying, Mel, I apologize, but I've looked more into this subject, and now I'm a believer. I'm not trying to convince anyone about this. It's all about providing the evidence, providing what your gut feeling says, and you make your own decision. But we talked, I believe, a couple of years ago, the last time we spoke, any new developments into this field?
Oh, Mel, there's so many new developments, but I just want to start by saying I really appreciate you for having the courage to bring this up on your platform, because you're a man that doesn't, you want to know the truth. You don't want to be right. You don't want to, prove a point. You basically just want to find out the truth. And that's where we all come from. And Mel, I hated flat Earth. When I first heard it, I mocked people. I made fun of people. I banned people. I refused to even look at it. So anybody listening now, everyone has the same story that's in flat Earth. They laughed at it. Then they were forced to look. Maybe a show like yours forced them to look. And once they look, once you can see it, one thing all of us flat earthers have in common, we wonder, how did we ever believe in the heliocentric model? Once you can see through the deception, It is mind-blowing. Mutual friend, I think you've had Crow on, Crow 777 Radio.
Sure.
His famous quote is, belief is the enemy of knowing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm changing it a little bit. Belief is the lazy man's knowing, because belief takes no effort and you're done. You hear something? Okay. Hey, Mel said that I live in Greenwich, Connecticut. You can believe it, or you can go verify it if you want, right? To know something takes time and effort. And in this world, people don't want to take the time and effort. They just want to take the easy way, take the lazy way out.
And by the way,
friend Jared,
Dave, some of the smartest people I know, many of them whom I'm interviewed here, some I haven't interviewed yet, they're all in this category now. So what are we going to say? Those people who are so smart are so dumb at the same time? Yeah.
I spoke this year in Acapulco, which is a big freedom conference in Acapulco. And it's been years. I mean, Jeff Berwick is the guy that runs it. And we've been talking to him for a few years, and he knows that there's a problem with the globe, but he said people weren't ready for it. But this year he's like, Dave, you're in. And so I was on the main stage, 50 speakers. I found out when I got there that 49 of the speakers were flat, I have a problem with the globe. It's definitely not a globe, and I don't know what it is. That's the weakest point. And other people like, oh, it's a level non-rotating stationary plane. And then the audience, 95% people were already on board. I was kind of looking forward to going and speaking to, at least 50, 60, 70% of the audience that thought flat Earth was the dumbest thing ever, because after seeing my presentation, it's scientifically impossible to still believe in the globe. And the thing is, you don't want to believe, you want to know. So my goal is to just show you what they're hiding from you. Just want to go just for those people listening, like, where is this going? I just want to run down just a list of things we're going to try to get to in this short 2 hours.
And by the way, some of the great people who are there in Acapulco, Andy Kaufman, Dr. Andy Kaufman, Mike Wilkerson, friends of this program.
Flat.
Yep.
They're all flat. They're all flat, and it's amazing. And I have to tell you, there's other people in the medical health freedom movement. I'm going to say all but one of them are flat. That way, you can't. I didn't rat anybody else out, but they haven't come out. A lot of them haven't come out publicly. They all see it, because once you see it, you understand why. So real quick, we're going to go over my journey a little bit. Censorship. Trolls, agents, and ignorance. They don't want you seeing this information, because if you do, their gig is up. We're going to talk about proofs. We can see too far, Southern flights, pilots for major airlines. How do they get everyone to lie? The absurdity of space and distances, and space telescopes, the physics of gas and water, other celestial bodies, and how our eyes work. And we're going to pack a lot in there. And why this topic is the most important topic of our time, our fake history, and very important, extraterrestrials, the secret space program, and how it all makes sense on a flat Earth. So,
add radium to your list, please.
No, radium is amazing. Right, real quick on radium, the radium, they theorize, and there's some evidence that they use radium engines on the airships that used to travel all over the world. They had airships that hold thousands of people that go all over the earth. Guess what the exhaust of a radium engine is?
What is it?
Helium.
I was going to say, is it helium?
It's helium. Huh. Think about that. You're running the ship. You can repower. You can just keep. It's a self-sustaining, radium engine. It's just amazing. So, I'm not going to get too much into the old world stuff, because that's a 5-hour show right there. We only have 2 hours.
No, but then again, you think of the Hindenburg. When I saw that movie and the whole explanation, that made me wonder what happened there, that they cut that manner of transportation that was used for hundreds of years, and all of a sudden, no, that's too dangerous.
Yeah, well, the Hindenburg, did two things. It demonized hydrogen, because they related it to the hydrogen bomb. The one crash, and it was, in my opinion, a huge false flag. And then no, that's it. You can't go anywhere. You can't. They got rid of ships. And guess who? The other gas that you can use is helium. But NASA owns all of the helium companies in the world. And so there's always a shortage, just enough for party balloons and a Goodyear blimp over a football game, but not for air travel. So, and the reason for that is because if you have a blimp, you can go up there with some solar panels, some, etheric engines, a radium engine, and travel where they don't want you to travel. It's funny that the two places on Earth that would prove the Earth is flat or a globe are the North Pole and the South Pole, and both are off limits physically and mentally. I mean, physically and digitally. If you go to Antarctica on Google Earth and try to draw an area around it where it tells you the area, you can go around, you can draw like circle Madagascar, and it'll tell you how many square miles Madagascar is. And if you go around Antarctica, it makes this inverted, it won't measure it. It measures the outside of it. And that's because Antarctica is not a continent at the bottom of a ball. It's the shoreline of our world that's wrapped around an imaginary ball.
Address, please, the helium part. This is something really interesting. NASA is the biggest consumer of helium in the world. And the first question is, what exactly are they using helium for? Could it be that's how they launch their quote-unquote satellites?
Well, all of their rockets, and this is a hard one for people to grasp, is the space shuttle. We all have in my generation, we all had an emotional attachment to the space shuttle, amazing. And then they had the Challenger that blew up. And if you look at it, if you actually look at it, you can see that external tank is a blimp. It's literally a blimp, Mal. And I have an app. You can find it at flatearthdave.com, and it gets around the censorship. I want to touch on the censorship before we go too deep. And there's a section on it called faking. Oh, it's not, I got an issue with it not showing. It's all right. It's called faking space with blimps. And it shows you undoubtedly that those are helium balloons going up, and they're just crashing them out in the ocean. They're just crashing them out in the Bermuda Triangle. That's why they all go up and they curve right over and go into the ocean.
By the way, you mentioned the space shuttle. The shuttle heats up during reentry at speeds of 16,700 miles per hour. But while leaving Earth at speeds of 25,000 miles per hour, there's no heat. Can you explain that?
I cannot explain that. And here's the thing. You know what? A lot of the stuff that they put out there, people just go, I can't figure that out because I'm not smart enough. No, you can't figure it out because it's stupid. The idea of what they're saying makes absolutely no sense. And once you can see that, you can see that it's ridiculous. I'm showing you right here. Hold on, I got to just clear that. I'm showing you a picture of the space shuttle on the launch pad. It's 4.5 million pounds. 4.5 million pounds. And you got this little fire that comes out of the bottom that lifts it up in the air. It's hard to see in this one, but it's wobbling in the wind. It's literally wobbling in the wind before it took off. 4.5 million pounds doesn't wobble in the wind. And another one is when they drops the external tank, that falls back to Earth and it supposedly deatomizes. So the big orange tank falls back. I think it's like 10 tons of steel, and it deatomizes. I'm showing you here, for those of you that are watching, this is a NASA video of the tank falling back to Earth.
By the way, let me just interject for a second. For the people, I know we have a lot of listeners who prefer to just listen. If you can go to our website and watch the video, because we have some visuals, that'll be great. But if not, I'll try to describe, and Dave will try to describe as much as possible for your benefit. Please go on.
Yeah. So when that thing's falling, it falls fast. It should just be out of your visual sight within a couple of seconds. But the worst part is it looks like somebody is in a helicopter filming a Macy's Day Parade balloon that is floating in the air. But the worst part is the astronauts on the shuttle that are going 25,000 miles an hour and in an incomprehensible speed upwards are filming it out the window. This is being filmed by the astronauts that are on the shuttle. And it makes absolutely no sense. No sense whatsoever. And
if it's so heavy, it should be dropping like a bullet.
It should be dropping like a bullet so fast. And we were watching one of their videos, and we saw something go by it that looked like for lack of a better word, a cloaked quadcopter, and it just went right by it. And so we took the video, we cranked up the contrast, we turned it on its side, and it is literally some sort of craft that's there trying to get it. We cranked up the contrast, and for those of you watching, you can see this thing. So again, what we're showing you here is it's not what they're telling us.
Well, what is that, Dave?
That is some sort of craft, some sort of aircraft that I think it's a recovery craft that's going to grab this thing and take it to wherever they take it or destroy it. I don't even know. Pretty crazy, right, Mel? This stuff. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, from the first time I saw the space shuttle being, transported on a 747, which, if you know 747s, I mean, how strong can that roof of a 747 be? Some people might say, well, it's specially made to carry this space shuttle. What's the weight of a space shuttle? And it just makes no visual sense to me to be carrying that and flying it away.
Right. Mel, and think about this. You've been in a hurricane. We've been in Mexico and in Puerto Rico. Hurricanes, 150 mile an hour, 200 miles an hour. That's crazy. A tornado, 300 miles an hour. It literally ties metal posts into knots. It tears concrete out of the ground. Right. When you look at the launch of the space shuttle, it's pushing 4.5 million pounds up with superheated fuel. Right? There's a fence right there that doesn't even wobble. It would be atomized in a second. And when you start looking at this and using your God-given common sense, the reason people don't see it is because they can't see the light because it's too big. And then the videos of it just doing maneuvers in space and turning around, and it's awe-inspiring if you believe. But if you actually think, you realize that none of this makes any sense. The curvature of the Earth never matches up. The speeds never match up. It's constantly being changed. And, once you see it, you can't unsee it. The SR-71 Blackbird, that's the spy plane. It goes like 2,200 miles an hour. Is that Mach 3.2? Mach 3.2. It has no paint on it because it gets too hot. The paint would just burn off. Looking at it straight on, it is like a razor blade. You can barely see it because it's
aerodynamic.
No, it's perfectly aerodynamic. Then you look at the space shuttle, right? The space shuttle with its big tank, it's got square PVC pipes on the outside. The windows are inset, not even as aerodynamic as your car. Your car is way more aerodynamic. When you look at the pictures, of it, there's absolutely no way that it can go as fast as an airplane without ripping apart. But this thing goes Mach 32 or 33. It makes no sense whatsoever. And when you see it coming in for landing, that's actually a real plane that has engines, and they always have 2 jet fighters escorting it in. You know why? Because it masks the sound of the engines on the plane, on the shuttle.
Are you saying that there's no engine sound coming out of the shuttle?
No, when the shuttle is landing, there is engine noises coming out. The engines are clearly,
because it's supposedly gliding.
But they have 2 jet fighters on each side, one on each side, gliding in with, flying in with it. And that masks the sound. Again, all of this information, the censorship is unreal. If you Google my name, Flat Earth Dave, Flat Earth Proof, Flat Earth, anything, you'll get nonsense, especially on YouTube. And you could watch a whole bunch of real Flat Earth videos, if you could find them, my videos, Jaredism videos, Globusters, whatever, and then go check your YouTube history, search for Flat Earth. None of them will show up. Just the propaganda videos will show up. That is the only topic on YouTube that happens with. It will not show you what you watched when you search your history. That tells you something. Yeah,
remember during the pandemic, obviously anybody talk about that subject, you had that little banner underneath. I can expect that from the elite. But when it comes to Flat Earth, when this video comes out on YouTube, the first thing you'll see probably underneath, you'll see that little banner. If they're so If they're so certain that this is BS, why would they have to remind us that this is not scientifically proven and blah, 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 if we're not children?
No, I'm with you. They had a Senate hearing about fake news and how are you going to stop the fake news? And whoever was representing YouTube there, they said, well, for example, for flat Earth, we're going to put an authoritative banner. They used flat Earth as the example. They always stick it out there. They wanted to normalize it. President Obama, during his presidency, mentioned the Flat Earth Society a half a dozen times during his speeches. Why? Because the Flat Earth Society is a joke. They want you to go there if you're looking into flat Earth, because it'll make you laugh at flat Earth and never look at it again, because that's not what flat Earth is. So the censorship is unbelievable. That's why I created this app. It bypasses the censorship, and it's a great way to learn yourself and share with others. It's doing extremely well, and it's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. You can just find it at flatearthdave.com. It's a $3 app, and just go read the reviews if you're unsure about getting it. People absolutely love it, and it's really waking up the world. So the other thing out there is trolls, agents, and just ignorant people. So how can they have this lie for so long? How could they do that? And the answer is, there's people that will fight me on flat Earth, fight to defend the globe. And I'll say, what is the radius of your globe? What's the orbital speed around the sun? How far is the sun? How did they figure out how far the sun was? What is the speed of the spin at the equator? Is it different elsewhere? They don't know any of those questions. And they're the ones defending their position. That's a religion. That's a cult. And the way they do that is, Mel, before you can even talk, you're watching Sesame Street, you're watching Disney. It's all space. They have astronauts on there. You go to school, your teacher's teaching you about the orbit of the sun and the moon and the earth. And when it's your birthday, they do a song about this, how many times you've gone around the sun. It's indoctrination. Who was the Nazi that said, give me your kid, till the age of 7 and I'll loan him for life? It's literally bringing them to the ball and making that the foundation of their world. So,
absolutely. And let me ask you this. Was the year 2016, is that the year when this somewhat exploded?
It was more like 2014, 2015 is when I got into it. And it was going, and, back then, it's our good friend, Sophia Smallstorm. Yeah. She's the one that convinced me to look. Right. And she's like, Dave, I think the earth might be flat. We were talking about some other, bang, bang events. And I was like, there's so much deception in this world. And she goes, oh, Dave, she goes, it's worse than that. I think the earth might be flat. I'm like, not you too, Sophia. And she sent me a couple of videos. And I started looking into them. And I went in with a bad attitude, Mel. I wanted to prove it wrong. I didn't want to know the truth. I wanted to prove flat earth wrong and prove the globe. And for 2 weeks, I didn't sleep. But YouTube kept sending me like, hey, you like that? Watch this, watch this, watch that. 2017, flat earth took over as the #1 search term on YouTube. And literally within a couple of weeks of that happening, they took down the scoreboard. It used to be you search something and it says, oh, there's 380,000 results. When flat earth became #1 over Trump, over Britney Spears and everything else, they took down the scoreboard. They don't want people knowing, because once you see this, you can't unsee it. And when you see it, you literally unplug from the matrix, the heliocentric matrix that controls you. This is all about control, Mal. You know that. Your listeners know that. And they've done a great job at getting people to refuse to even look at this topic, look at the subject. It's incredible. I have, you take a ball away from a little kid, they cry. You take a ball away from an adult, it's the same thing. You're ripping the foundation of the world. Now, we love our space, Star Wars, Star Trek. I grew up with all that stuff.
I like the visuals you're using to convey your message, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So, when you see this stuff, you can't unsee it. So that's all I'm saying. Oh yeah, we love our space stuff. So that was the hardest thing, giving up space. You don't have to give up space. You don't have to give up extraterrestrials. I want to save that until we get through a few flat Earth proofs and stuff, and then we can dig into that in the second hour. All right.
By the way, before we could continue, we're recording this a few days before the total solar eclipse. Let's hope that we still have communication and you still are able to go to our website and use your cell phone and all the comforts of life. But based on everything I'm listening to, the National Guard being deployed and so many other things, I'm hoping that Dave and I will be able to make it after April the 8th. But let me ask you something about the eclipse. I've been following the trajectory of the eclipse, which, goes from Mexico to Texas all the way to Nova Scotia. That's south all the way north to northeast. But if the sun is coming from the east to west, how is that happening?
Well, in the heliocentric model, we're spinning to the east. So it looks like the sun is traveling across the sky like every sense tells us it is, but you're really falling towards the sun. And then in the noon, you're falling backwards away from the sun. And that is ridiculous. The path of the eclipse makes zero sense in the heliocentric model. It's fully explainable in the flat Earth model. And we don't know what it is. I don't even think it's the moon. I think some people are going to be able to film the moon off to the side of the sun during the eclipse if the weather's right. But they're predicting, overcast for almost the entire path. But let's see how good they are at messing up the weather.
You mean chemtrail?
You want to talk about the eclipse? Yeah, chemtrail. They're chemtrailing the sky. We're having a major storm right now. It's hailing here in Connecticut. There's hail coming down right now.
You mentioned something. You mentioned that people are taking pictures, and you might see the moon. I've seen many photographs showing that. So if that's the case, what is actually blocking the sun? Could it be the black sun? And if so, can you explain what the black sun is?
Well, the black sun, there's some people that say that the entire thing is being projected up from the north, from our North Pole, from under below the Earth. I don't know. I've seen so much evidence. Flat earthers aren't afraid to say we don't know, but it is provable that it's not the moon, a physical rocky moon going in front of the sun, because if it were, we'd be able to see the moon eclipse the sun. We'd be able to see it, especially when it's a total eclipse, because the earth shine, just like moonshine, you can read a book by Cast Your Shadow on the Ground, the earth shine would be lighting up the moon and we'd be able to see it. No one has ever seen the sun eclipse the moon or exit, approach, eclipse, or exit the moon. And when you look at pictures of eclipses, you don't see the moon. You just see what I call missing sun. It just shows you more sky. It's just like missing sun. And you're imagining that it's a rock behind, in front of the sun, blocking it, and the sun's just too bright for you to see. I think that whatever it is going behind the sun. On my app, in the frequently asked questions section, there's a video, there's a whole section on eclipses. And one of them, I show a demonstration where I created a model of a rear projection sun into our atmosphere. And it looks exactly like what we see. It looks exactly like what we see. And during the eclipse, sometimes when the eclipse is like 85, 90%, you can see the projector through the sky. You can see the source of the sun. So I say the sun that we see is the sun that we see. It's not the actual source of the sun. Just like a rear projection. If you watch a movie, when we were kids, they would put up a big sheet on the back of it. But if you look real carefully at the sheet, see through the sheet and see the actual source of that image. And I think that's exactly how we see the sun. I'm showing here, I divided my room with a blue sheet, and I put a flashlight 10 feet on the other side of that sheet, and it looks amazingly like a perfect little sun. Now I have my partner Paige to the left, and I say, where do you see the sun? And she points to a spot on the sheet. She sees it right there, right? But I'm over to the right of her. I see it over here at the same time. So we all see the sun in a position relative to myself. And if I took something behind that sheet, like a ball or a disc, and blocked that sun, you would see an eclipse, but you wouldn't see the actual thing that's doing it, just like we see in the sky.
What is the moon, in your opinion?
Mel, we don't know. We're told a ridiculous story that it's a planet hit the Earth and knocked out a chunk, and then it turned into a perfectly spherical object in a perfect orbit. The moon keeps track of the weeks and the months, and the sun keeps track of the hours and the days, and the stars keep track of the seasons and the years. And it's a perfect clock. The sky, this gravitationally affected sky, somehow is perfect, and it never varies. We have all these planetary alignments, and they don't tug on each other. The sun can hold on to Pluto. It can hold on to Jupiter and Saturn with its magical gravity, but it can't hold on to the moon, right? The Earth, they all hold on to their own moons. As our moon comes around the sun, around the Earth towards the sun, it should speed up. The sun's gravity should tug it. And as it goes away, it should slow down. Never happens. None of that ever happens. It's all just a story to get you to believe that you're insignificant, that you live on a ball, that you're meaningless. And that's what it's all about. It's about stifling your potential to live to your full potential. People say, what difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday. I used to say that. I don't have to go to work on Monday. It's kind of weird. It's weird how this world evolves. But it's all about controlling people. We can prove, if you look into old world stuff, into Tesla, all sorts of stuff, that there is free energy. There is free energy. Imagine if the energy, you had something the size of a roll of quarters that could power your car, heat your home, and air condition your home, and you can turn up the temperature to anything you want and use as much as you want. It's not bad for the environment. Would that free up some of your time if you didn't have to pay for energy? Sure would, right? People might start, doing gardening and trading with their neighbors if they had free energy. They might even create some amazing transportation devices. But they don't want that. They want us under total control. If you look into the whole story of Tesla and JP Morgan, Tesla said he was going to put out free energy. JP Morgan's like, wait a minute, I own a telephone pole company. I own a copper wire company. I own coal. I own trains. All of that stuff is going to be useless if you put out free energy. And that's why he shut Tesla down. So,
by the way, about the moon, when you look at the pyramids in Egypt and all the megalithic structures around the world, the Egyptians used the moon for timekeeping. 29 and a half days. They used it for agriculture, for religion, for navigation. Why do you think that all of a sudden it changed to solar instead of the moon? Women's periods.
Well, that's the other thing. What I think the moon is. I think the moon is responsible for delivering and removing souls. This is just made. There's lots of evidence of it. And the moon keeps track of the months. There used to be 13 months of 28 days. So we live in this realm. We live in this toroidal system where from everything from below the earth to above the earth is all part of this one living system. Everything is live. Everything's live. And we live on this plane inside a toroidal. The spinning of the toroidal field is responsible for all of the motions of the sun, moon, and stars, and all of the wandering stars, which they now call planets, plane with a T. And we can't survive anywhere else. So the whole thing is connected. There's some people that are looking into the patterns on the moon seem to copy the patterns on the Earth of the land masses. It's called the moon map. And it's kind of interesting, but I think it's all connected. So again, I'm not afraid to say I don't know what the moon is, but I know what it's not. It's not a rock floating in the sky, for sure. So the sun, wherever the sun is, it's noon at that place. So on my app, it shows you the sun goes around. So wherever the sun is, it's noon. Sun will lap the moon once every 28 days. So the sun keeps track of the days, the moon keeps track of the weeks and the months, right? And if I turn on the stars are circling in the same direction. They're just going slightly faster than the sun, where they'll lap the sun 365 laps. It takes them to lap the sun, to lap the sun. So the sun will drift backwards through each zodiac. This works perfectly. Think about this, but Mel, we're supposedly in a heliocentric, spiraling world where we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. We're orbiting around the sun at 66,000 miles an hour. We're chasing the sun about 500,000 miles per hour. We're traveling 4.4 billion miles a year, never to return to where we were before. 80% of the stars, they tell us, in our solar system are binary, which means they go around each other, let alone moving around the spiral arms of the galaxy. And no two stars have ever crossed positions due to parallax. No two stars have ever changed their position in relative to another. You got a far star, you got a close star, you got all of these motions. You think they would change. Never, ever, ever have they changed.
What you said about the moon and that image that shows one, if you just draw a circle around it, and I'm talking about the Prague astronomical clock there that has built hundreds of years. Do you have an image of that?
Yeah.
Good, I see it. I see it. So
right there
if you look at that clock, you may wonder, why is that clock the way it is? But once you figure out that maybe, just maybe, the Earth is bigger than we're led to believe, and this smaller circle goes around a full year is 25,920 years. And you divide that, and it goes all the way down to, I forget the exact numbers, I had them before, but that circle goes around. Does that mean that when that goes around, goes to a different age? Like right now, where you're entering the age of Aquarius, and it's going to come to a point where we won't be able to sustain what they call climate change, when in fact it could be really climate change, because it might be another ice age, because the sun and the moon are moving on this circle to the next age. What do you say about that, Dave?
I totally agree with that. And that lines up with the whole moon map thing, which is another 4-hour show. But in Prague is a very historic city. There's buildings that literally look like giants must have lived in that, because the doors are 30 feet high and the locks are 20 feet off the ground and stuff. But if you want,
and it was not bombed during World War II.
Right. If you want to change, a fence post in Prague, if you're a homeowner or whatever, you have to go through like 12 committees to make sure it's not violating anything. But somehow the oldest clock in the world was able to change without telling anybody. If you look at the inner line here, this to me looks like an old world map, but they changed it to a globe. And look at the old Prague clock and the new Prague clock. They changed it and they made it look like a globe on the underlying layer. And no committees, no nothing. Excuse me. They made it. To me, that's a little obvious. That's another strike. There's a preponderance of evidence that the world is flat. There is zero evidence that it's a spinning globe. I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. I just tell people, get my app, watch the daily video that comes out every day for 2 weeks. At the end of that 2 weeks, send me 1 globe proof, and you win 3 Bitcoins. The 99% of the emails I get are, oh my God, this thing is real. I can't believe it. How did I not know this? And that's because of censorship. Looking for Flat Earth online is not easy. But flatearthdave.com, all the information's there. But it's up to you. I can demand the knowledge, but you can't make them think. So, some people aren't ready for this journey, Mel. I think many of your listeners are, especially your UFO people, your people that are talking about extraterrestrial races and stuff. That only works on a flat Earth.
Everything you're saying resonates, I bet you, with a lot of my listeners. But let me go back to this great year, the great day, the great month, because a lot of people might not know what I'm discussing here. And even with Brad Olson, I was discussing this before. You probably heard of the 1811 earthquakes, have you?
Oh, yeah.
In 1811, in December and January of 1812, large earthquakes came immediately after 3 eclipses, 2 penumbrals and 1 total eclipse, very similar to what's happening now. And this apparently happens every 71 years. If you add 71 years to 1811, that would be 1882. Add 71 years to that will be 1953. Add 71 years to that, and we're 2024. And that is the great day. What I mentioned, great year, 25,920 years, but the great day is 71 years. So I wonder if every 71 years, something of large magnitude, catastrophes, of all these disasters, earthquakes, happen in certain intervals, Dave.
There, after the last time this same eclipse passed across the United States, it was the worst earthquakes. There was like 1,000 earthquakes over the next 3 months, worst earthquakes in history. Is that going to happen again? I don't know.
Was that 1811?
I think it was 1811.
Yeah.
Are you? Have you had Greg Weiss on your show yet?
No, but I love to.
Greg Weiss. Yeah, he's amazing. I'll connect you. He's fantastic. Just go on. You can find him on Telegram really easy. Look, Weiss Report. You're gonna have to go back 2 weeks by the time you hear this and watch his video on the eclipse. It's fantastic. It is. It's out these 5-minute videos that are well researched. So yeah, check that out. All right. So where were we? We were talking about I was talking about trolls and agents and ignorance. Let's run up. There's people out there there's 3 types of people. People that are paid, and I think there's very few of them. The other ones are literally people that I think have demonic spirits that are guiding them to hide this, because this truth makes it so you cannot deny a creator. And I just leave the line there. I'm not telling you what religion or anything. I think that there's a lot of control in religions. I just don't want you, the serpents, the evil people that run this world, they don't want you in a position where you can't deny a creator, a loving creator. And because they literally want to be on top. They want a government, then God, and then man, when in reality it's God, man, and then maybe government below us if we allow it. But they don't want you in that situation. So they're hiding this information from you. All you have to do is take the time and lay down your ego, understand that, hey, a flat earth is an abundant earth. It's an earth. You don't have to worry about asteroids coming in. You don't have to worry about overpopulation. You don't have to worry about, fuel shortages. This place is so abundant. It's unreal. And, there's so much to offer here, but they don't want you knowing that, because if you know that, they can't control you. A good prisoner is one that doesn't know. The less you know, the easier you are to be controlled, and the sicker you are, the easier you are to be controlled. So, if you see information, you can't unsee it. They don't want you in a position where you see it. So that's it.
Well, if you look at the last 3-4 years, you would have thought that the people with the least amount of intellect would be the ones falling for the stinger. But if you look at the statistics, most of the people, the first ones, were the highest intellect. And that just goes to show you mass formation is a reality, and it doesn't matter how smart you are.
Correct. I always say hats off to the controllers. They did an amazing job brainwashing people. And I was one of them. By the way, my whole life, we weren't really a religious family, not really at all. And I was looking at different religions growing up, and I looked at them all, and I just kind of denied it all. And I believed in evolution. And I just like, you know what? I don't believe that. Then I discovered that the earth is intelligently designed, which is a level non-rotating stationary plane. And the Big Bang is no longer an option, which was made up by a Jesuit priest, not even a scientist. And then I was like, oh my God, I have no choice now but to understand that there's a creator. And that changed my life. Everything changed in my life, Mel. It's like the story of my life is truly incredible. I worked my way up. I had the American dream, went to corporate America, corporate America, left there, started my own business, doing really well, successful, growing. And I walked away from it all to talk to people like you about this important topic. Dave, why are you talking about flat Earth? There's child trafficking going on, and there's starvation. And the reason is, if you're spinning out of control, lost in space, you have you don't have no foundation. And that's how they get away with the boogeyman, you're going to breathe on grandma and kill her. That's people believe that because they're lost. They're stuck in the news, north, east, west, south. It's an acronym to steer your mind, right? The news I always say the news gives cancer. I never listen to the news, but when I do, I laugh. I laugh, I'm disgusted, but I laugh. And then you find out stuff, and I'm sure Crow talked on your show about nukes. Nukes aren't as described. There's no nukes, and people are like, well, what about Hiroshima and Nagasaki? You go look at what happened the days after that. The trains were running, the sandwich shops were open, they were selling flowers on the street. 3 days later, it was just a big TNT bomb, and they put it out as a nuclear bomb, and it's all to keep you in fear. When I was in school, that we had duck and cover. Hey, a nuclear bomb, alarm going off, go under your desk. And I was like, nuclear bombs going off. What is going under my little desk going to do? And it's all about traumatization of people. So,
but look, what you just said about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. If that were the case, those two cities would be a wasteland right now. I mean, if you look at the uranium, 800 years half-life, neptunium, plutonium, 5,730 years. So at the least, it would be a few hundred years. I mean, look at what happened in Chernobyl. I mean, I'm not sure if that really happened. I mean, I'm not there. I'm just trusting it. I know that some people got cancers and deformities because I've been to Cuba and I saw some of those Ukrainian people there being treated. I don't know exactly what happened. But when it comes to being a weapon of mass destruction, don't you think by now somebody would have used it?
Absolutely. The plants, people, and animals are still living at Chernobyl, and they're completely fine. The same with Fukushima. It's all a big scam to scare people. Let's pivot back to a couple flat Earth proofs. Just a couple. Not going to go through all of them because there's too many. You only need one to prove it, but we're going to go. If the Earth is a ball, Mal, there is a physical limitation of how far you can see depending on your height due to a physical curve. So, and people don't realize this. They're like, the Earth is too big for you to curve. It's like a microbe on a basketball. It looks flat to him. Well, according to the globe math, at 6 miles, at 3 miles, there's 6 feet of curvature. That means a 6-foot tall person standing at the edge of perfectly calm water, no waves, perfect clear day, can't see the surface of the water beyond 3 miles because it's going behind a physical curve. It's like trying to look over a basketball, hold it up at eye level. Can you see the backside? No, because it drops behind a physical curve. And if you sat down, that horizon's even closer. But we can see things way, way, way beyond that. Now, the higher up you are on a ball, if you could live on a ball, the farther you can see. But it's the same on a flat Earth, right? And if you're up higher, the air is clearer. So I'm showing a picture here. I forget what mountain this is, but there's a whole video on it. And we can see 8 mountains that are over 700 miles away. And they're all the right shape. They're in the right positions. They're right there. The tops of those mountains should be 40 miles, more than 40 miles below the curve of the Earth, below the physical curve. But for some reason, we can see them, Mel. Does that prove the Earth is flat? Well, not really, because it could be 1,000 times bigger than they tell us. And if the Earth is 1,000 times bigger than they tell us, they're hiding 1,000 times more land. Maybe there's 8,000 continents, right? I don't think it's a ball. It's actually provable that it's not. These distances that we see would make it have to be bigger than 1,000 times bigger. So we can see too far. That's a proof. Now you go search that, hey, we can see too far. Earth is flat. You get, refraction. Refraction refracts everything up. It's amazing how refraction can take a mountain 40 miles below the curve of the Earth and refract it up and stop it right at your eye level. It doesn't refract it up into the sky. It refracts it right at your eye level. And it refracts all of them. The farther ones, the closer ones, it refracts them all at the same level. It's insane. You're in California. Is it pronounced Mount San Jacinto? San Jacinto?
Oh, San Jacinto.
San Jacinto. Okay. Well, that's another pronunciation. I've given up ever trying to get it right. From Malibu, on a normal clear day, you just look in that, it's blue sky. right? Because the light that's coming off the mountain can't push through 123 miles and get to your eyes. So it literally becomes sky. That's what sky is. It's this limitation of your ability to see through the air, just like looking across an Olympic-sized swimming pool underneath. You don't see the wall because it just becomes opaque. But we put an infrared lens on and you can see the whole mountain. The mountain's 7,000. There should be at 123 miles, there's 7,000 feet of curvature. The very tip of this mountain is just over 7,000 feet. So we should only, at best, be able to see the very tip of it. We can see the whole thing. Now, the Globers will come in and go, whoa, refraction, it's refracting up. And it's standard refraction, they say. What is standard refraction, right? I want to see something refract up from behind a solid object. Have somebody stand on the back side of your house, and then you go on the front side of your house and have them refract up so you can see them. It never happens. Nothing refracts up. Now, things do refract down, and things do mirage and become wobbly and everything. But when you start looking into how our eyes work, how the horizon is formed, it's literally a fuzzy area where you can't see any farther because it's just everything comes together. On my app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, which is now available on Mac, if you go to the frequently asked questions, which is the question mark button, there's We Can See Too Far, Boats Over the Horizon. And these are all videos that YouTube is hiding from you. Why are they hiding them from you? Why don't they'll let you see the Loch Ness Monster. They'll let you see giants and dinosaurs and whatever you want, but no flat Earth, right? They're actually removing videos slowly and quietly, but they're not banning us yet. But this app gives you access to them all, and it's an invaluable tool. And the thing is, the truth will set you free once you understand that that this place you're the center of creation, and that you are a more powerful spiritual being than they want you to believe. They want you to believe you're just a physical meat suit. You die, you become worm meat, and that's the end of it. And you're going to work your whole life, and on the weekends you can watch sports and cheer for your sports team, which is a whole ritual energy expending thing. They want you to drink alcohol, as we learned during the 2020. Close the churches, close the synagogues, keep the liquor stores open, and they want you distracted and lost and sick. So when you're 65, 70, 75, and you retire, you think you can have some good years on the beach, but you're sick because of all of their poison. So that's what this is about, Mel. And that's why I'm pushing this so hard. And the awakening is happening. There's thousands of people waking up every day. I don't even know the number. It's increasing faster and faster.
By the way, you mentioned that image that you show with the mountain peak with other mountains that you can see in the distance. Well, of course, the trolls and the skeptics might say, "Oh, yes, but you're looking at it from the top of a mountain." Well, this is one thing that I keep talking about like a broken record for years. Ever since I noticed it in 2016, I have a beach home in Mexico, and in 2016 I had two doctors with me. We were on the beach, and you can see it in the afternoon. I showed them without binoculars. I said, "What do you see in front of you there?" And they simply said, "Well, that's Baja California. You can see from top to bottom." I brought the binoculars and you could see. And that's close to 90 miles away. And I said, "How is that possible?" And they looked at me like, "What are you implying? That the earth is flat?" Like, no, I didn't say that. You did it. Then I went with a captain. We went fishing in the afternoon, and I asked him the same question. "What is that?" "Oh, that's Baja. Everybody knows that's Baja. But how can you possibly see it?" "Look, I don't know, but it's there." So explain to me how I can see that from sea level, 90 miles away.
Yeah, because the earth is flat. That's the thing. People don't want to think it through. Remember, belief is the lazy man's knowing. And people don't want to process it because you're processing your foundation of your world. Right next to your mother is the globe. And that's what your entire world is built around. All the best movies are all about the globe and the global network, and everything's globe, globe, globe. So your ego, because I'm not going to look there. It's too painful to realize my whole life is a lie. There's a spot in Aluja, France, that looks out over the ocean, and Mount Canigou is 175 miles away, but you can't see it except for twice a year for 1 or 2 days. And the reason is 175 miles that's bouncing off of it can't make it all the way to your eyes. It just doesn't have that much brightness. But the sun is brighter. And twice a year, as the sun migrates in between the tropics, it looks up with that view spot and it goes beyond it and it backlights. You can see the whole mountain. You can see the whole thing. The top of the mountain should be close to a mile below the curve of the earth, but you can see the whole thing. Now, the Globers say, well, the sun already set and it's refracting up, and the mountain, which is in the dark, is refracting up and blocking the sun. Okay? The reason your brain short circuits on that is because it's stupid. It's dumb. And they want you to just to believe all of that nonsense. But, you know, there's so many examples of us seeing too far. We can, you know, there's even shorter examples. We can just see things that should be below the curve. Now, things do get cut from the bottom up because of waves, because of perspective, because things after a certain amount of distance, they won't really appear in your visual space to get that much farther, but they'll get that much smaller. So a 6 foot tall person standing at the edge of calm water can have a 3 foot wave block a cruise ship. And I have, you know, in my We Can See Too Far section of the app, there's a whole bunch of videos on that. I just recommend people, it's more a visual thing. And once you see it, I'm warning you, you can't unsee it. So there you go. Go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say something. You know, when I used to fly, one time I noticed that they were changing the runway numbers, for example, you know, from 26 to 27. And I was asking, you know, why are they changing the numbers? Oh, it's because every so often the magnetic north changes. So we have to change the numbers. You know, runway 26 is now runway 27 because it's now 270 degrees. And that they just didn't register with me. And I go back to the great year, the great month. And if you look at what people like Zachariah Sitchin said, that, you know, every 2,160 years, we change from age to age. So instead of the magnetic north changing, could it be that we are actually moving towards the next one, and eventually we'll all have to migrate to another part of this world? In fact, if you believe in the globe, look at the Pacific Ocean. And do you have a map of the Pacific Ocean? It's almost empty. Could it be that there are pieces of land there, doesn't matter, maybe small, but where the elite goes and we're not told? I mean, imagine plenty of Hawaiis there, away from the common man.
Yeah, there's so many lost lands. I believe that there's extra lands here. I'm showing here, this is the moon map. This is actually the craters on the moon, and they line up with all of the continents. And the far side over here, that's all frozen or out of our area. We live in this one section here, and this red line represents the magnetic north. So as the north moves, our circle of our sun. So in 13,000 years, the sun will be circling on the other side of the realm. Everything here will be an ice age, and people would have moved over there. I did a talk with Sophia called "The Outward Flow of Civilization," and it was fascinating how people saw that, how people saw it. So the outward flow of civilization was quite interesting. So here again, this is the moon. This is the moon, and all of the countries are here. It's kind of weird. Don't know what it is. I think there's a correlation to everything. We're all related, from all the plants, all of the heavenly bodies. Everything is all related.
So what happens? What happens that it's every 2,160 years where we get to a new age? So slowly that circle keeps moving. So if you're stuck in the back, because it's moving from left to right, opposite to clockwork. So if you're moving all the way there, that means that migration has to exist. And then you think about the Nordics, for example, you know, Finland, Sweden, Norway, all that. They may have been the last ones and they lived in areas that were, you know, cold, and the sun was not there that much. And then when things started getting warmer, they started migrating. And this is why this more south you go, the darker the skin. If you think about this, it makes a lot of sense.
100%. So here I'm showing here, this is the migration of the North Pole. It brings it all the way around, 26,000 year cycle. That's what the prog clock shows. And it's kind of amazing once you see it. And it's so big and so grand that it's really hard to fathom that this stuff is there. Mel, I'm sure you looked into the old world, right?
Of course.
You looked into Tartaria stuff. Again, for those of you that haven't, on my app, there's a Tartaria mud flood section. Just start watching those videos. Look at those images. In the homeschool section, there's some great channels that will blow your mind. One of them, whoops, what's going on here? One of them is called My Lunch Break. Have you followed My Lunch Break yet?
I have.
Yeah, he's so good. He makes one video a week. Him, and then there's other Jake. I'm the Improbable Dreamer. You learn about airships. You learn about giants, and it's amazing. But so much knowledge, so much stuff. One thing, that us truthers all have in common: we're never bored. there's never enough time. I used to say I work 24/7, but now I work 29/8, 29 hours a day, 8 days a week. That's how much I love this, because it's truly fascinating. So I wanted to talk about you mentioned flights. So if southern flight routes. So I want people that are listening, go get your globe. I know you have one, some of you, and look at Sydney, Australia. And there's a whole bunch of flights to New York, to Houston, to Vancouver, to San Francisco, Mexico City. They all fly north of Hawaii. Hawaii's right here for those of you looking. They all fly north of Hawaii. There is no explanation of why they're north of Hawaii. On a globe, you should be south of Hawaii, but none of the flights go south of Hawaii. But for some reason, on flat Earth, it matches exactly what they're telling us. Remember the World Cup, where they played in Doha, that had their own private, so the Globers go, the plane has a hub there. They got to change pilots. They got to pick up other passengers. Private plane just for the team. They won. They wanted to go to Buenos Aires, right? But they went to Rome, which is in the wrong direction to get fuel. And then they went to Buenos Aires, which is arguably farther than Doha was. Okay? But if you look at it on a flat Earth map, Doha, Rome, Buenos Aires, it's a perfectly straight line. Why is that? Why is that? And think about this, Mel. There's airports all over the world. So you got your world, you got your equator around the middle, and everything above the equator is in the northern hemisphere. You can pick any combination of any two airports that are north of the equator. No flight would ever go below the equator to get to that other northern airport. A northern airport to another northern airport would never go into the south, because that's just a longer trip. You follow? You with me?
I'm with you. And also, why can't we see there's these apps that tell you where all the planes are, and you see them above the equator, but never below the equator. Why is that?
Well, no, they're below the equator, but here's the thing. No northern to northern flight would ever go below the equator. Southern to southern flights, most of them cross the equator. So if we look right here, we got from Auckland to Lima, Peru, right? Everyone on the plane wants to go to Lima, Peru. Instead of flying straight across, they go arguably farther away to Los Angeles. And then from Los Angeles to Lima, Peru, look at that on a flat Earth map. It's a straight line with Los Angeles in the middle. Perfect place to stop and get some fuel after that long ocean flight. But on a globe, it's absolute insanity when you look at it. Again, on the app in the images section, just type in southern flights, and you'll get all of these breakdowns. And there's so many flights. A Rio to Sydney stops in Los Angeles. Look at that on a globe. It makes no sense. Look at it on a flat Earth. It stopped, gets some fuel, continues over. I'm mind blown by it. From South Africa to Western Australia, there's 3 different flights. One that goes to Dubai, another one that stops in Malaysia, another one stops in Hong Kong. Crazy flight route. The equator's right here. It's going from the deep south to the way up into the north and then back to the south. Why didn't it just fly across here? Look at it on a flat Earth map. it's not perfectly straight line, but it makes perfect sense. They're just stopping at different places for fuel.
Have you ever tried calling the United Nations to ask, how come you have a flat Earth map as your logo?
Yeah. No, we have not. And, there's some people that have a video. They have a video of another picture of this flat Earth map in the United Nations. It's not real. They put us stuff out there to kind of make us look stupid. But their logo is a flat Earth map. The United Nations, the International Maritime Organization, the Civil Aviation Organization, and the Meteorological Organization. These are the 4 agencies that run the world, and they're all using flat Earth maps. They're all using flat Earth maps. It's right there, rubbing it in our faces.
Or if you ask a Navy, a sailor from the Navy that works in a submarine using a periscope and torpedoes, how could that work with a flat Earth model? I mean, I'm sorry, with
the railgun. The railgun shot from a ship can hit another ship over 100 miles away. There should be a hump of water over 6,600 feet high. That's over a mile. They should be hidden behind a hump a mile high. But they can see it. They can put a pinpoint laser on it, and they can fire a trajectory at it and hit it 100 miles away. So, and submarines sitting on the bottom of the ocean can see another submarine 100 miles away. There should be a mountain over a mile high in between them, but their sonar somehow climbs over that mountain, goes down, hits the other one, bounces back, climbs the mountain and back. And the reason your mind can't figure it out is because it's stupid, right? It's stupid, but people just want to believe, want to know.
By the way, here's if you look at flat Earth right now with Google. In fact, before we started, I was looking for you on Google for just to see if I could find you. I could hardly find you, and all I see is a bunch of debunking. I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds, and even one right now. This is the let's see, a university. It doesn't say what it is. WTAMU.edu, but it says flat Earth question, and this is Dr. Christopher Bard, a professor. Why did so many people believe the world is flat when it is obviously, that's the key word, obviously, a sphere? When they say obviously, if I'm born and you never show me a sphere and all I see is the flat horizon, the beach, why would I even say that it's a globe?
There's absolute. Here's the thing. This is what, ignorant. And by the way, ignorant's not a bad word. I'm ignorant to everything I don't know. We're all ignorant. There's people that are ignorant to what flat Earth is, and they say, "Oh, there's a million proofs of the globe." You name one. There's so many of them. Can you show me one? And all they can come up with is photos from space. And when you look at the photos from NASA, it's absolute insanity. How horrible they are. Let's just take a quick look. These are pictures of Earth. No, that's not it. All of the pictures of Earth from space are different. So I got 9 pictures of Earth here. So a logical mind would say, well, they're all different. So therefore, 8 of them, if not all 9, are fake. Well, we know that they're all fake. NASA admits they don't have any photos of Earth. But, when you're at 127,000 feet, which is about as high as we can get a balloon, the Earth is white. The atmosphere just becomes opaque. They're getting vivid color shots from 1 million miles away. Makes no sense. And they're all different. The sizes of all the continents are different. It's
the sizes, the years, the colors. And you would think that the ESA and all the NASA and the rest of all the space agencies would really get in touch with one another and say, hey, guys, let's just make it all the same size. All the continents the same size, because every time you guys release one, it's different. And let me ask you this. Universal Studios, you know where I'm coming from with this question. How did they know in 1927 that the Earth was a globe and it looks the way they present to us?
They knew in 1927 that exactly what the Earth looked like. And then in 1972 was the first photo allegedly from outer space.
The blue marble.
And I think it was a different shot. Or maybe it was the blue marble. And it looked exactly like theirs. It's called predictive programming. I have it. I had the image, but that's right. I can't find it. So we're all over the place. I was going to show you something else, and now I'm trying to remember what it was. 1 second here. We were looking at Why the Lie.
You collect your thoughts again. 1927. If they were able to depict that, and it's not that big difference. I mean, they kept evolving that globe all the way to Stanley Kubrick's Space Odyssey. You know, they planned that a year before, 1968, I believe it was, to make us feel like, look, that's how astronauts should be, because there's no gravity, so they're going to be jumping like this. And then we see the moon, and of course, that's, the biggest black hole that NASA should be looking at is right there within their headquarters. That's the black hole of money.
With all the space agencies in all over the world, you can add up all of the music industry. That's from iTunes to concerts to everything. All of movies, rentals, premieres, movie theaters, all of video games, and together they are less than the budget for space. And I think you could add in the NBA and the NFL in there also. And it's the biggest money laundering scam on earth. And I think NASA's in charge of it all. I think NASA franchises to other countries on how to rip off their people and launder money and put it into black projects. So
as of 2023, the world's, all the space agencies combined, their budget is $117 billion.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's insane. So we were going to move over to, I want to mention is pilots, right? I have a phone full of commercial pilots from all different airlines, major airlines, all know the Earth is flat, and they talk about it. They're flat smacking their co-pilots whenever they're on a long flight. Co-pilot's not awake and aware, and they're waking each other up. Some of these pilots are just, they're NPCs. They're just like, I'm just driving my bus. I'm not going to think about what you're talking about. And we have video of flights that are flying around the world, and for some reason, the stars don't process. Let me explain what I'm talking about. So if you're on the globe, if you're on the top of the globe, right? Oops, that's not what I wanted. If you're on the top of the globe and you're flying, here we go. Oh, that's not it either.
By the way, Dave, keep it as a cliffhanger because we have to break. We're going to be on the hour, but we have so much more. A lot of the questions that we've received through the years, I want to really, get back to basics, because a lot of people are asking questions that it doesn't make sense and all that, and I want to clarify a lot of this for them. And again, just for the record, I'm a globe skeptic. I'm open-minded. I'll be happy to, if you tell me we live in a ball, fine, prove it to me. If we live in a flat plane, fine, prove it to me. But there are things like the Antarctic Treaty, and I've interviewed a few people, I'm not going to name names because you know who they are, who tell me, no, nobody is preventing you from entering Antarctica. That's not true, blah, blah, blah. Try it, and see what happens to you. But we'll discuss this when we come back. Dave, once again, how can people learn more about your work, the Flat Earth Clock, and so on?
You can find all information if you want to book me on a show, if you have a show suggestion for me to go on, if you want to just find information, if you want to get the app. If you want to see me in person, I'm doing some appearances. I'm actually in the UK on June 27th to the 30th at a 4-day music and truth festival. A lot of great other presenters are going to be there. That's in the UK. You can find all of that at flatearthdave.com. Flatearthdave.com. Easy to remember. All my social media is there. Follow my YouTube. Follow my interviews channel. Just follow that stuff and just take a little bite a day. If you think that I'm completely wrong and you're smarter than me, come take my Bitcoin. That's $210,000, right? And I will give it to you the second you show me one globe proof. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to.
Is that event in the UK Mark Devlin's, by the way?
Mark Devlin is going to be speaking there. No, it's not his, but he's speaking there. Dave Murphy's speaking there. There's a whole bunch of people, but it's soundsbeautiful.uk, but you can find the banner right on the top of my website.
Great people. All right, one more hour with Dave Weiss. You're listening to Veritas. This is Mel Husterick, and we'll be right back.
Thank you for listening to the first part of this important Veritas interview. To listen to the rest and all of our exclusive material, proceed to the Veritas Plus member section or join the Veritas Plus family by subscribing. Click on the subscribe button at veritasradio.com. Don't forget to visit the Veritas store for focused life force energy. Get a 15-day free trial of FLFE today with no credit card required. And if you want to get in touch with Mel, want to be a guest on this radio program, have a guest suggestion, or have feedback, just click on the contact button on our website at veritasradio.com. Now, proceed to the Veritas Plus member section or subscribe to listen to the rest of the interview. You don't want to miss it. Thank you for listening to Veritas, because you don't want to believe, you want to know.